Oh, ho, ho. Okay. We were in the middle of plotting out an exciting timeline of important events on the day of. New York Times, what are you doing? Did you read about Trump's hacked documents yet? I saw it earlier, but I mean, we'll see if anything exciting comes out of that. Trump calls at 2:26 during the Capitol attack. Why does he type 2:46 here? He must be, it was a typo, right? We need another composition challenge? Yeah, someday. Wait, okay, I want the, Trump calling Mike Lee Tuberville. The information about this phone call. Cicilline said that on the call, Trump reportedly asked that Senate Republicans delay certification of Joe Biden as the next president. Indeed, published new reports said that, citing anonymous sources, the AP has not confirmed those reports, but there's no question, as the Democrats said, that Lee took a call from Trump, realized the president was intending to call Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, and handed it to one of his colleagues standing nearby as they talked. They spoke for 5 or 10 minutes. Then the Capitol Police became very nervous and then evacuated them. Okay. So he calls Senator Mike Lee by accident, trying to get a hold of Senator Tuberville. Him and Trump chat for, how long do they talk for? I feel like I was just looking at a tweet of this. Why the fuck is this not in my history? Kai Cenat gets swarmed in public and a fat kid trolls him by sending his car and it's too heavy for Kai to take out. Nice. Wait, was this an old link that I had open? I was just looking at this on my screen. What the fuck? Stop. And then evacuated them. Spoke of Joe Biden. This. What am I looking at here? web.archive.org. Okay. Must have opened it yesterday or something, I guess. After receipt of a call from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser indicating the duty had refused to send assistance to the U.S. Capitol, Public Safety Secretary of Virginia Brian Moran dispatches the Virginia State Police to the Capitol. Security video shows Secret Service moving the VP. House is briefly called back into session. One of Nancy Pelosi's staffers whisper, "They're we need Capitol Police, I think." Chief Sund reiterates his request for National Guard support. The House goes into recess again. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and Army Secretary McCarthy meet to discuss Capitol Police and D.C. government requests. Okay, hold on. Joint Chiefs of Staff is a... Where do these guys sit in relation to? It's separate from the DoD, from the Department of Defense stuff, right? Or it's separate from like all the military. Fuck. Show me give me the graph, the thing, the picture. Oh. Okay. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Air Force. Okay. This is, these guys answered, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, they answered directly to the head of the Secretary of Defense, right? Or the head of the Department of the Defense, the Secretary of Defense, right? Correct? Maybe? Yeah? Wait, fuck. This is what I was looking for. Okay. DOD, yes. So Secretary of Defense is up here, and then the Joint Chiefs of Staff answer directly to them. Okay. I don't understand. What is the point of the Joint Chiefs of Staff compared to, like, the departments of... like stuff going on over here? Like, what's the responsibility of like the chief of staff of the army versus like the secretary of the army over here? Like, what the fuck is the point? Or what do they do differently? They are the chief? They take people from other institutions to work in the joint staff. The secretaries are civilian. Duty is composed of the Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Joint Staff. Obviously, okay. Okay, whatever. Okay. Discuss Capitol Police and D.C. government requests. Shortly before this time, the Washington Times published a story by Rowan Scarborough, falsely claiming facial recognition company XR Vision identified Antifa members among the crowd of the Capitol. The Times corrects the story the next day after BuzzFeed News reports that XR Vision threatened the Times with legal action over the story. Before the correction, the story amassed 360,000 shares and likes on Facebook. Nice. Fox News anchor Laura Ingraham tweets Chief of Staff Meadows, "Hey Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home." Please link to the tweet. Is there, there's gotta be like an easy way to find this. I would have to search on Twitter, huh? Laura Ingraham I wonder if I can just search for the text. Hold on. It was a direct message, not a public tweet. Yeah, that's what it read like here. So it seems like in this timeline has been wrong in a couple places. Whoever did this on Wikipedia, hey, whoever put this timeline together, you've had a few times wrong. They were wrong on the Trump time thing. I don't think this was a tweet. I think this was like they tweet Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. This was a text is what they meant to say. Okay. Let's just see what they have listed here. Okay, these are all the texts to Mark Meadows. Jesus Christ. Mark Meadows begins receiving text messages begging him to ask Trump to send the people home. Is it strange that news anchors and pundits have direct lines of communication to chief members of the president's staff? That does feel pretty weird. I think I asked before if that kind of relationship had existed. Like, there are going to be some people that it would make sense to have a direct line to. Well, hold on. No, actually, maybe not. Not in this case. Because Mark Meadows is the chief of staff for Donald Trump's in the White House. He's the chief of staff of his White House staff. And Mark Meadows is going to be the guy, your White House chief of staff is going to be the guy who's like coordinating basically everything with your White House staff. So having like media people contacting him and asking, like, can I set up an interview or can we do this, whatever, that seems like it might make sense actually for your White House chief of staff, I think. The White House press pool has those contacts, but Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity directly communicating like that is not normal. Maybe. That might be kind of weird. It feels weird. I'm just trying to think of, are there equivalent things of this happening before? Where, like, media hosts are texting the chief of staff directly for things, maybe? I'm not sure. Okay. I'll probably throw these texts on here. $2:30. After 6:28. Okay, documents on file with the select committee. Mark Meadows production. This. Okay. No shot. Do they have individual documents like this? This is actual fucking AIDS. Really? Oh my god, they have individual text messages. Kill me. Are these all individual text messages? Emails between Mark Meadows and they wouldn't condense these into like one document? Oh my god, this is actually cringe as fuck. Isn't there like some government like paper waste act that's supposed to prevent shit like this? Okay, I'm just gonna quote out of the report. Fuck this. I'm not gonna link individual. Just look up the aggregated one. I don't know if there is an aggregated one because all of these are sourcing different documents in this thing. I just cite the J6 thing, I think. Any new Pure stuff coming up? Nope. I don't think I have anything right now on the agenda. This is Laura Ingram. (2:35 p.m.) Mick Mulvaney. Oh, Sam Harris is coming out. I think in a week or two. (2:44). Barry Loudermilk. How was the talk with him? Oh, I haven't talked to him yet. I know you compile a substantial list of information, but you cut down your list retroactively. For this type of note, I won't. But like when I do a presentation on this, yeah, I will. You think with the Trump hack, Elon will suddenly have a hack materials policy when it spreads on Twitter? No shot. Don't even say that. Don't even joke about that. I would lose my actual fucking mind. There's no shot they would do that. William Timmons. Ooh, thanks, Organ Ass. Are you fact checking this timeline? The J6 committee one? No. The wiki timeline? Yes. I'm just curious what they have listed here for events, and then I'm gonna go back and look at it to see like holistically. I think the timeline is gonna be a big center point in like the 15-minute video. So I'll go back after this just to see like what things are here. There are like I think there are a few elements that I really want to include in the timeline that are really important. Sorry, okay. $246. And let's see, 240 or 253. Donald Trump Jr. Damn. Geez, the Minnesota Lake stabbing guy got 20 years. Nope. Or I think I heard somebody mention it yesterday, but 228. Wait, what time was the first? Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. At 2:38 p.m., President Trump tweets, "Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." Good one. Donald Trump tweets. Say JW Command Bridges? Yeah, I think Kyle had to reschedule him, but Tristan Chandler Stevens, Patrick McCoffey III, and David Mehaffey, having scaled the southwest scaffolding in Sergei several minutes earlier, fight alongside the mob at the Lower West Terrace. They try until 3:19 to enter the building. 242, rioters carrying flags down the hallways, kicking in office doors. 242, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 243, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 244, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 245, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 246, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 247, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 248, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 249, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. 250, Senate chambers breached by rioters. Chuck Schumer is in a secure location. The Senate is locked down. Pelosi stands at the front of the room and asks how to maintain the impression of some security or some confidence that government can function, that you can elect the President of the United States. Do we go back in session? Someone replies, we did go back into session. Now, apparently, everybody on the floor is putting on tear gas masks to prepare for a breach. Pelosi, seeming not to understand a key phrase, asks the person to repeat it. The person reiterates tear gas masks. Pelosi turns and says to someone else, do you believe this? 281.
Low prices on everything kids need.
Like a water bottle they definitely won't lose. Tablets.
Sports stuff for whatever sport this is. All the latest lit, Rizzy Riz clothes.
Damn.
And lunch boxes for a homemade meal that they'll barely touch.
Cool.
What the fudge?
So spend less on your little freeloaders with Amazon.
We're starting to get surrounded. They're taking the access into the Capitol.
Got to finish the proceedings.
Access into the
Is this video on its own available somewhere here? Supporting materials, documents on file, select committee hearing videos, Control F, Pelosi. Fuck. Or is there just like a YouTube channel with just this video so I don't have to link to this cucked website?
Capitol.
These are select committee exhibits, so they must be.
We have got to finish the proceedings, or else they're going to have the complete picture.
Senator Schumer is at a secure location, and they're locked down in the Senate.
There has to be some way we can maintain the sense that people have that there's some security or some confidence that government can function and that we can elect the President of the United States. Did we go back into session?
We did go back into session, but now apparently everybody on the floor is putting on tear gas masks to prepare for a breach. Well, I'm trying to get more information.
They're putting on their...
Tear gas masks.
I can't.
We need an area for the House members. They're all walking over now through the tunnels.
Jesus.
I'm going to call up the effing Secretary of DOD. We have some senators who are still in their hideaways. They need massive personnel now. Can you get the Maryland National Guard to come too?
I have something to say, Mr. Secretary. Well, I'm going to call the mayor of Washington, D.C. right now and see what other outreach she has to other police departments, as Senate Leader Hoyer has mentioned. Hi, Governor. This is Nancy. Governor, I don't know if you have been approached about the Virginia National Guard. Mr. Hoyer was speaking to Governor Hogan, but I still think you probably need the okay of the federal government in order to come into another jurisdiction.
I hope that something comes out at the end for how the shit got so fucked in terms of like the delayed deployment of the National Guard and everything here. It's like insane how fucked this was.
Secretary of DOD.
Thank you for the YouTube video.
Other Hoyer has mentioned. Hi, Governor. This is Nancy. Governor, I don't know if you have been approached about the Virginia National Guard. Mr. Hoyer was speaking to Governor Hogan, but I still think you probably need the okay of the federal government in order to come into another jurisdiction.
Super mad I was slow, or day of, I was super mad on how slow the Maryland responded, almost an hour after Virginia. Yeah, but I imagine it's probably I don't know if they would just be allowed to, right? To have a state National Guard just come marching into federal territory. Like she's saying here, they might need to do. There's probably jurisdictional questions here, I would imagine, right?
Thank you.
Secretary of the Army.
Oh my
Is
gosh.
authorized.
They're just breaking windows. They're doing all kinds of, it's really that they said somebody was shot. It was just horrendous, and all at the instigation of the President of the United States.
Any national
Okay, thank you, Governor. I appreciate what you're doing, and if you don't mind, I'd like to stay in touch. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I thought it was Trump doing nothing for hours that was the problem. Isn't that what the Jan 6 reports had happened? You and Pisco argued about this for long hours, and you eventually agreed with them. Hold on, I never agreed with Pisco. I agreed with the J6 report. But the agreement over it was that Trump failed to act. Trump could have done something, but Trump didn't need to. There should have been, I think for the chain of command here, I think Miller would have been the Secretary of Defense. Was it Christopher Miller? Yes. He would have been the one that the only one above him was Trump. And I don't think Trump never signed off, I don't think, on deploying any security. So I think Miller was the one that ultimately signed off on it. But I don't think it should have even had to have gotten all the way up to him for approval. It was just a clusterfuck of getting people there. I really didn't think they'd predict to be so violent, and they didn't want to have an almost banana republic-like image. Yeah, I understand, but I'm just saying it was like an hour or two after where they're still on the phone saying, like, you know, hey, are you sure you need people? Like, Sund was like making calls like, bro.
Virginia Guard has been called in.
You know, I'm just talking to Governor Northam, and what he said is they sent 200 state police and a unit of the National Guard. They're breaking windows and going in, obviously ransacking our offices and all the rest of that. That's nothing. The concern we have about personal harm, personal safety, is it just transcends everything. But the fact is, on any given day, they're breaking the law in many different ways.
Wow. Pelosi, no mask during COVID and sitting on an X'd spot for social distancing. Unbelievable.
The fact is, on any given day, they're breaking the law in many different ways. And quite frankly, much of it at the instigation of the President of the United States. And now, if he could at least somebody.
Yeah, why don't you get the president to tell them to leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General, in your law enforcement responsibility?
A law enforcement, so the DOJ here, the DOJ's responsibility is only insofar as, I believe, conducting or controlling the FBI. I think the FBI is part of the Office of the Department of Justice, so they wouldn't actually be able to do anything in relation to the National Guard because that sits under the Department of Defense, I believe. I think. But he's probably speaking, I'm sure Schumer understands this. I'm sure he's just speaking like, bro, like, do something, yeah.
To leave the Capitol, Mr. Attorney General, in your law enforcement responsibility.
Oh, and actually, and I say that, but the DOJ might have, the FBI might have the authority to deploy here and do something as well. That could be the case too, actually. Maybe federal agents in that sense could, because it's the FBI. They're federal police. Why wouldn't they be able to go to DC? Yeah, actually. Yeah, never mind. Yeah.
Public statement, they should all leave. This cannot be just we're waiting for so-and-so. We need them there now, whoever you got.
You also have troops. This is Steny Hoyer. Troops.
Okay, so we have a little
Fort
bit of time
McNair,
to make that decision.
Andrews Air Force Base.
All right.
Other military bases.
Thank you.
We
Thanks,
need
Paul.
active duty National Guard.
How soon in the future can you have the place evacuated and cleaned out?
I don't want to speak for the leadership that's responsible for executing the operation.
Realistically, if a police agency deploys when they're not supposed to, what's the harm? In my untrained view, whenever you're asking questions about what if somebody does something they're not supposed to do, who cares if it's like the right thing or whatever, I think the thing you always have to keep in mind is, it's a boring thing that normies never think about, but like when these types of issues are brought up, you have to think about liability. And liability is almost always, in my mind, at least when I was a supervisor at a casino, liability was always that huge thing that is always lurking that you don't think about until something goes wrong. And then it's like, oh, fuck. Like, imagine if the FBI shows up and they begin operations to try to clear people out, and in the course of that, shit gets crazy and they have to shoot and kill like 20 people. Well, now people are looking at the FBI and they're like, this wasn't even your jurisdiction. Why the fuck did you deploy here? Now 20 people are dead. Now you're super fucked because you were not supposed to be here, and now people are dead, right? Not saying that the FBI wouldn't have jurisdiction because it's federal, but I'm saying I think generally like the liability thing is this is your huge like concern whenever you're doing stuff that you're not supposed to be doing, because your ordinary processes and procedures won't cover you. This is why if you have a good boss and you offer to like, listen, I know that like labor's fucked and we're, everything's really dirty. How about like I clock out and I come back and I work a little bit? You should never be working off the clock. And not only because you're getting fucked, because if you get injured or hurt and you're not even clocked in, now there's a whole bunch of people that are in big fucking trouble. One, I don't know if there's a guarantee that you'll even be covered by workman's comp or anything, because you're off the clock. You're just a normal fucking person in the, in the kitchen or whatever else. And then two, your supervisor is going to get fucked, because why the fuck does he have people working off the clock in the kitchen that aren't being covered? Yeah, it's just liability is usually the reason. Yeah, but for good reason. I don't just say like liability like some obscure, dumb legal concept. Like it's a good thing to keep in mind, yeah.
So I'm not going to say that because they're on the ground and they're the
Well, just pretend for a moment it was the Pentagon or the White House or some other entity that was under siege. And let me say, you can logistically get people there as you make the plan.
We're trying to figure out how we can get this job done today. We talked to Mitch about it earlier. He's not in the room right now, but he was with us earlier.
Hold on, just real quick. Honestly, I am surprised that the FBI didn't know this would happen. It's not like any of the planning was made by really smart people. A lot of it was in the open and some of it in private, but by retards. The Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys did all of their planning via Signal. It was all private. Nobody knew, none of the intelligence agencies knew that the Oath Keepers were going to have like quick response forces or quick reaction forces nearby with like hundreds of weapons stashed. Nobody knew that the Proud Boys were planning on breaching into the Capitol and breaking and busting their way in, who were all the initial breachers. That was kept from, unless you believe in the Fedsurrection thing then. So they didn't have a heads up that it would be that. It's arguable that perhaps without the Proud Boys, it's arguable if anything would have breached any security at all. It's hard to say because they were the ones that led the charge in.
And said, we want to expedite this, and hopefully they could confine it to just one complaint, Arizona, and then we could vote, and that would be, then just move forward with the rest of the state. The overriding wish is to do it at the Capitol. What we are being told very directly is it's going to take days for the Capitol to be okay again. We've gotten a very bad report about the condition of the House.
Hi, what's up?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I see you're doing like your January
problem
research. I mean, I'm feeling kind of depressed.
Why?
And that's not like unusual for me. I'm kind of a depressive, but I wanted to see if maybe you could cheer me up a little, like, because I'm feeling like there's a lot of really smart people right now, like on the political left, that are being real stupid.
About what?
And,
wait, first define terms. When you say political left, do you just mean like all the liberals and everybody, or do you just mean like socialists or communists, or?
So, well, I've seen people that would probably identify as like socialist or whatever doing some of this stuff, probably, or commie, but I don't run in those circles, so.
Okay, I only ask because online when people, or sometimes in Europe, when people say like leftist or something, they're only talking about those people. But you just mean in the American sense, like Democrats, people on the left, whatever. Okay, gotcha, go ahead.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's like I'm taking the temperature via Twitter, like, as so many people do, right? And that can be a bad idea sometimes, and I realize that, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the things that has really been bugging me is that, so I was kind of advocating for a long time. I told you this before, for Biden to step aside and for us to try to find a better candidate, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a pressure from the electorate played a huge role in him actually choosing to step aside.
Absolutely, yeah.
But see, I'm not pointing the finger at you or your community on this. I want to make that clear. But I was told a lot, because I do politically engage and stuff. I was told a lot that you don't get anything done by pressuring politicians. Like, you don't pressure them. I hate to mention his name here, but Vosh said that to me. And then, like, once he said it, there's like a whole community of people that just bobblehead the shit that he says, right? And then I'll follow you around and say it. And so, like, for a long time, the mantra was like, you can't really like pressure a Democratic politician. Like once they're in, this whole idea of like, oh, I'm going to withhold my vote or whatever is just bullshit. And then we watched it like change the world, right? Like basically, I mean, like Joe Biden would have been the nominee, right? Had that not happened. And now people are just like so quick to start simping for Kamala. You know what I mean? Before we've extracted any kind of like concession. You know what I mean? Like I tell people all the time, if I were going to vote for Kamala Harris, I would never tell you that. Like I would tell you, I'm not voting for that bitch until Medicare for all or until this or until that, right? Even if my intent was to go and suck it up and do it.
Okay, I think there's a lot of different things going on here for a second. Just as a quick thing. So,
sorry.
No, you're
Yeah.
good. So in terms of pressuring politicians, like politicians can definitely be pressured by the electorate because that's who they are. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to win re-election.
Yeah.
I think when people say you can't pressure politicians, like it's possible even I've said this. It just depends on the context. Like if you are a very small part of the electorate, or if you're pushing a politician in a way that would cause him to lose favor with a large part of the electorate, that type of push would probably never work because they're not going to lose votes. But if the constituents of a large portion of them are all like advocating for a particular thing and it's very popular in the party, then that type of push can definitely happen. And then activists also have a role to play in pushing the electorate a little bit and in pushing politicians a little bit. It's just not going to be like a huge change by only activists or a huge change by a small part of the electorate. Yeah.
So am I wrong in feeling that like if you're on the left and you want Democrats to win over Republicans, even if it's just for that, even if it's just for the safety of not having a wackadoo Republican, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like it's good, is the word praxis, to like openly simp and say that you're, as a leftist, gonna vote for the Democrat no matter what? Because like people were saying some wild shit when Biden was up there, like, dude, they could put a dog turd up there, I'd vote for it. And it's like, why would you tell the Dems that at a time when they're reeling a little bit and you might get them to say some based shit at the very least, like promise something, you know?
I mean, you could, I guess, but like, for as close as we are to the election now, and for as much as things are playing out, I don't think people are going to be changing their platform significantly at this point. I think we're pretty set in stone about where like both parties are and like the direction that both parties want to take. The country. Yeah.
But I mean, do you think that's a valid tactic to be like, I plan, like in my heart of hearts, I'm going to vote left over a Republican every time. But I'm not going to be like a mouthpiece for an administration that is basically like an 80s or 90s right-wing administration. You know what I mean? Especially with the border shit. Like,
if you don't want to, that's fine. But there's 0% chance that the Democratic Party is moving that far from their current
you don't think if it was like the uproar was the same level of uproar as we need Biden out of there because he's an old gibbering man?
I just don't think there's that much popular support for huge policy change. I think that the Democratic Party is probably pretty accurately tracking right now where most people are on the left on most of these major issues.
I'm sorry, ask the question again. I want to make sure.
I said I think that the Democratic Party is probably pretty accurately tracking where where most constituents are on things like border security or like Medicare for all or whatever, I think.
Right. You know, those are big. Those things and labor and I'm anti-war, anti-interventionalist kind of guy. Like those are my big four kind of things, that I look for.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that if the electorate was just as hostile to the idea of Kamala Harris, even if they planned on voting for her, that we might be getting some. It's like when she did that shit, like, I'm speaking, right? And some people on the left were like, based, shut them down. And some people on the left were like, well, you're, kind of funding what a lot of people consider to be a genocide and shit. Maybe there's a better, like, more deft way you could handle that.
Yeah, but I think the issue is that, like, she's probably, like, the majority of the Democratic Party is probably supporting that position, right? Most old voters are supporting Israel on the Democratic and the Republican side.
Well, that's what I mean. But the next speech, she moderated, right? And she like had a way better, I think, response to people that were doing the kind of pro-Palestine protest stuff. And I think that the reason that she modulated that response was because, like, don't rub it in Michigan's face. That's so stupid. You know what I mean? And maybe they like, I'm not saying they saw my tweet about it.
Sure. I don't know if her stance at all changed on that, other than she just explained more. It sounds like she just said the same thing of like,
well, it's politics, right? It's like optics. So she had a prepared response the second time. The first response, she just tried to do the sassy thing, and it pissed off some of her base. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying. I see these as like little micro changes where clearly, to me, the DNC has got its ear to the ground on the electorate. They're watching Twitter. They're watching Facebook. They're seeing which way the wind is blowing on Kamala and Biden. And if we just like got to the point where we could apply some of that pressure on policy, we might get somewhere, you know, but I see like so little will to do that on the left.
I think the issue is that like the Democratic Party establishment is probably about on policy where most people on the left want it to be. Like it seems like you think there's like a failure in telling the Democratic Party what we want, but the reality is most people probably just don't want the same things that you want in the Democratic Party right now, like most voters.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you're probably correct about that. The other thing, you know, and I thank you. I do feel a little better about it after talking to you. You know, I was just kind of like dooming out today about it.
Okay.
The second thing was like, I see what you're doing like on your stream here. You're doing this January 6th thing. I'm kind of a doomer on what your work here too, which is why I haven't like popped in as much because I don't want to like poo-poo you.
Okay.
But I feel like, do you think you're really going to fucking convince anybody with this that has already made their mind up that Trump is God and the people that did this were fucking heroes? And like,
I don't know.
Aren't we kind of living in a post-truth world where these people can just kind of choose their own adventure on this shit? Facts don't matter anymore.
If that's the case, then I'm just done. I retire and I go play Factorio all day. I don't have any desire to participate in a post-truth political society. So I think I like this. If for nothing else, it just gives me a good overview of everything. I'll put together a video on it. It's possible it gets 300,000 views, and then people don't really care that much. And I just go on and I read the next thing. But just it gives me a good foundation of knowledge for everything, and I'm learning stuff peripherally as I do all this as well. So yeah,
that's smart. I think I labor under the misapprehension that I'm gonna make some sort of a difference. You know, like maybe me saying this or doing this at the right time might swing some, but that's just like fantasy, right? Like how many people have 350 million people in the United States? That's got to be like kind of silly to think, right?
I mean, anything could happen. I don't know. I mean, you have people in your own life that you can influence.
Do you think that? I mean, like with your influence and stuff, do you think that like, man, I could say some shit and it could start something that changes things, right?
Sure, maybe, but I think I've kind of hit that critical mass and I get like enough attention from going into some shows or whatever that maybe I could a little bit, but also it's like, it's more just like I have like a sphere of people that I can influence, so I want to influence them in the ways that I do. Even if it doesn't have to like be like a global message or even go, you know, viral in the entire United States or something. I just want to influence people that I have the ear of, right?
So what keeps you out of a political rut, making the same argument over and over again to people that, you know, by and large, oftentimes don't seem receptive?
What keeps me? I mean, I enjoy arguing from like just a fun side. It's fun to debate people. I think I enjoy like the attention and the publicity. It's fun to have like viewers and, you know, videos and shout at people. It's fun to dictate media agenda sometimes. It's fun to fight with people and then force them to argue certain things. If it ends up happening, and it's fun to learn stuff. Like, you know, after I'm done with this, I got a whole list of things that I want to, you know, read and write notes on and everything. So it's fun to learn, and yeah.
That's cool. I kind of agree with you on that. I really do enjoy the argument process and stuff, but I also get too emotionally invested in it, I think. And it affects my moods and my general like outlook on life and stuff if I'm really deep into it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if your mood is severely adversely impacted by covering like online political stuff, I wouldn't do it unless it's literally like your job.
Well, it's part of my job, you know what I mean? And I've done it for a long time too. It's like a self-abuse that I've engaged in for a long time before I was doing online stuff, right? Like I was one of those dudes that read the Times every day, the Chronicle every day, my local paper every day, watched cable news all night. I mean, I was doing my best to try and, you know, stay informed and make those arguments where I could. But I just reach a point sometimes where I just feel overwhelmed by it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that you have to figure out a way to engage with it in a way that's healthy and not mentally self-destructive. Otherwise, it's just not good for you, right? And it'll carry over to what you're trying to do as well. Like if you're miserable and if you're upset, it's going to carry over to you talking to people as well, and your messaging will be less effective and everything too. So,
do you find a lot of I'm sorry to just like ask you fucking mundane questions, but it's interesting to me. Do you find a lot of like joy and fulfillment in doing stuff outside of the online space, like going in public to do things?
Yeah, for sure. Like debating in public is fun. Doing my canvassing stuff has been fun. Yeah.
Do you think that like helps modulate your attitude when you get back into the kind of grind of streaming politics all day and stuff?
No, I like it all. I'm a very much like was born in the online world and have spent a lot of time in the online world, and I can have fun sitting on my computer for months and doing stuff online.
So if you just decided to hate this, you would just walk away and do something else, right?
Yeah, I guess play games or something else. Yeah.
All right.
But it's hard to imagine I would just like hate this because I always optimize for things that I enjoy. Like if I lose interest in something, I would just drop it and do something else.
You said if you believed that we lived in a post-truth political world, that you would have no interest in doing this anymore, right?
Yeah, I try to fight on that side. Yeah.
Am I wrong in thinking that I feel like we're either on the precipice of that or over the precipice of post-truth?
I'd say we're definitely a bit over it, but yeah, all I can do is contribute to the internet. If I think that at some point it's a waste of time, then I'll just play video games again or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. Do you have like any specific thoughts on how your influence might help to, I mean, maybe what you're doing now is part of that, right? Just like not allowing the vibe read from MAGA to stand on January 6th. Like there's no excuse, right? You've done this huge document, easy to understand video. Is that kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I would hope to be that all of it is playing a role in that. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. That gives me some insight, into why you're doing what you're doing. That makes me, not doom about it as much, which is cool. All right. Hey, thanks, buddy. Have a good day. Have a good stream, man.
No problem. Be careful.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
With defecation and all that kind of thing as well. I don't think that that's hard to clean up, but I do think it is more from a security standpoint of making sure that everybody is out of the building. And how long will that take? I just got off with the Vice President.
I got off with the Vice President-elect.
Oh, my God. These socks.
Okay, but what we left the conversation with, because he said he had the impression from Mitch that Mitch wants to get everybody.
She said he completely misrepresented what Vosh said about how the left can pressure Democrats. Okay. Was she talking to Pence here? Is that what she just said?
Not, but I do think it is more from a security standpoint of making sure that everybody is out of the building. And how long will that take? I just got off with the Vice President.
I got off with the Vice President-elect.
Okay, but what we left the conversation with, because he said he had.
Why did that guy just
I did not fucking misrepresent Vosh. I'm just fucking fuck that chatter. I did not, dude.
Okay, hold on. Let me see what Vosh said. Oh, listen, hold on.
He fucking
wait, hold on. I need to listen. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Explain to me how you're pressuring them.
Specifically, people on the left withholding votes.
I'm not talking just the left. I'm talking about a broader movement of America.
I know, but I am on the left. And
sure.
the tendency to reject the bipartisan framework can be justified differently depending on where you are in the political spectrum. If there are moderates who are withholding from the electoral process because they feel like there's no real difference no matter who wins, that's a different issue than this specific dynamic, this engagement. I think ultimately there are two main things to threaten with, okay? One is, as a progressive issue becomes more popular, the more legitimate the threat becomes that Democrats being bad in it will lose moderate voters. This has been how we've won most of the positive shifts in the Dems over the past few decades. Not by arguing people on the left want it. Who cares what the left wants? A bunch of college students, degenerates, and sodomites? No. What they care about is, does the median voter care? And the median voter, by default, this person doesn't exist, but we can extrapolate. If that person doesn't care at all, whatever. But if they can be made to care, like for example, with gay or trans rights being made a majority issue rather than a marginal issue, then suddenly it becomes politically popular. Notice how Hillary Clinton went from thinking marriage is between.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wait, I think I agree with what Vosh is saying here. Vosh is just saying that he's restating not restating, I guess I'm restating because this is in the past, that Vosh is saying that if the average voter doesn't care, if the average voter can't pressure the Democrats, then they're not going to listen to like pressure from the very, very, very far left. So like your job as an advocate or as an activist is to not pressure, but I guess kind of cause change with the median voter, and then or the average voter. And once the average voter starts to change and it becomes popular amongst the overall constituency, then the politicians would respond to that, I think, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not 100%. I watched the clip through your stream here and I didn't see the whole thing, but I'm not sure this is the only example that I would come up with. I mean, I didn't come prepared to fucking do a Vosh teardown nor do I have the will to do that. But
okay.
I just think it'd be a waste of my time. But no, I mean, like, I've been going back and forth with Vosh for years on this. And, I've talked to him 3 times now for multiple hours. And then the second one in particular, I remember very distinctly kind of bringing him the same thing I brought you, like Wood kind of like vocally withholding your vote, not refusing to be one of the cheerleaders that pom-poms the DNC 3 years out from an election and just announces your intent publicly to like vote for Joe Biden or else before you've extracted anything from him. And I remember that, you know, he said that like that's not how you get politicians.
Yeah, I just think because if it's like you and like 10 friends saying, I'm not going to vote for you guys, they're not going to listen.
Right, but I'm not 10 friends, right? I'm not the biggest dude online, but, you know, there are thousands of people that follow me, right? And so, like, me trying to make that a part of my platform, he kind of, like, was like, well, that's fucking stupid. I don't think it is.
Yeah, it just depends on how popular that thing is. Just try to get more people to believe in it, and then that'll apply more pressure. That's the best way to apply pressure, I think. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, but, yeah, fuck you, Chatter. I didn't misrepresent the guy, okay? Don't be an asshole. All right, bye.
Love you, bye. Okay.
The impression from Mitch that Mitch wants everybody back to do it there.
Yes.
I said, well, we're getting a counterpoint that is, we could take time to clean up the poo-poo that they're making all over, literally and figuratively, in the Capitol, and that it may take days to get back.
Yes, I'm at the Capitol building. I'm literally standing with the chief of police of the U.S. Capitol Police. He just informed me what you will hear through official channels, Paul Irving, your Sergeant at Arms, will inform you that their best information is that they believe that the House and the Senate will be able to reconvene in roughly an hour.
Good news.
So your Sergeant at Arms will be in touch about the process for getting members back into the building.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. Good news.
Okay. And then what is this? This is the voicemail for Senator Tommy Tuberville. What time was this left? Do we know? Control F. We're on page 629 here. Control F, voicemail. Rudolph Giuliani tried calling numerous members of Congress in the hour before the joint session resumed, including Jim Jordan, Senators Marsha Blackburn, Tommy Tuberville. Okay. Okay, this is good. 2 p.m. This is so shameless. Oh my God.
Senator Tuberville, or I should say Coach Tuberville, this is Rudy Giuliani, President's lawyer. I'm calling you because I want to discuss with you.
So this is after the riots, after Ashley Babbitt is shot, after everything. This is at 7 o'clock p.m.
Giuliani, President's lawyer. I'm calling you because I want to discuss with you how they're trying to rush this hearing and how we need you, our Republican friends, to try to just slow it down so we can get these legislatures to get more information to you. And I know they're reconvening at 8 tonight. But the only strategy we can follow is to object to numerous states and raise issues so that we get ourselves into tomorrow, ideally until the end of tomorrow. I know McConnell is doing everything he can to rush it, which is kind of a kick in the head, because it's one thing to oppose us, it's another thing not to give us a fair opportunity to contest it. He wants to try to get it down to only three states that we contest, whether there are 10 states that we contest, not 3. So if you could object to every state, and along with a congressman get a hearing for every state, I know we would delay you a lot, but it would give us the opportunity to get the legislators who are very, very close to pulling their votes, particularly after what McConnell did today. It angered them because they have written letters asking that you guys adjourn and send them back the questionable ones, and they'll fix them up. So this phone number, I'm available on all night, and it would be an honor to talk to you. Thank you.
I wonder if he left voicemails to the other people that he called, or if it was just to Tuberville. Because he called all these other people.